May 23, 2023. This is the 2000 tick chart on the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the NinjaTrader 8 platform. You can look down at the descriptions below and you can see where I saw setups, where I think I saw setups, as well as where I took my trades. Today I only took one trade and it was a green trade. Overall, price action looked like it sold off, went into this consolidation for about 2 hours, 3 hours. Then it sold off again slowly, and then it hit another consolidation area down here. Price action itself, there wasn't that many clean setups that I could find, but it might just be I'm pretty inexperienced. I did see some setups a little bit kind of in the later part of the day, but I'll get through them now. This is made from the pre-market highs and the pre-market lows, which really didn't come into play because once the market opened, prices just kind of stayed within this very narrow, let's see, 41.96 to about 41.88. So it's about a 10-point range. So if you're aiming for a really big runner, it was hard to really get inside just 10 points. So mainly just quick scalps that you would have to do. And even then, it was hard to find a good place to enter to, take advantage of these really large swings all the way down. The pre-markets, prices sold off. I don't trade the pre-market, so even if there were setups here, I wouldn't have been able to take them. Markets open. I saw it kind of made a measure move one up, pulls back a second measure move. It consolidated briefly, then it kept going up. There was, well, throughout the day, you could say there was all second entries all over the place, but not necessarily second entries that you would want to take because they just weren't, I guess, clean. So the first setup I did see was right here. It made a new high, first entry long. Technically made a second entry long here, but I saw this as one leg down with this measured move here, first entry. So let me just kind of move this to be what it looked like in real time. So it was a new high here, first entry long. Technically made a second entry long, but I saw this as one leg down. I saw this as one leg up. So I made that first entry. And I saw second entry down here, potential second entry long here on the visual. Now, this this candle, before you'd think maybe it's going to flash back up, but it closed below the EMA. It is bouncing off this ascending trend channel, so it already confirmed once, twice, 3 times, potentially a fourth time, but it was kind of broke through here, so I didn't like that too much. But nevertheless, there is a second entry long on this visual with 2 clean legs down, but I didn't take that entry because I just didn't feel the entry or setup was quite good enough. Had this actually closed above the EMA, then I think it would have been a more viable trade. It would have worked out if you took it. Definitely would have, gotten you a scalp or maybe a little bit more on this big candle here, but it flashed up. Prices moved sideways. There's an elo here, first entry short, technically a second entry short, but I didn't like this setup because I didn't really like this candle. And right now it is confirming the top of this potential trading range. So you do see a resistance here. Prices move down. I draw this shortened trend channel coming down. I see an overshoot, so I'm expecting a potential move back in. And I thought prices would come back down and touch and test the pre-market lows. It just barely made it and it starts turning up. So you only have a first entry long here. Here you're probably looking, I'd be looking for a second entry long. I do get a second entry long here, but I wasn't ready because I didn't like the looks of this candle. So even if I had one entry up here, it's kind of risky because the life of this red candle closed down here and I'd be entering up here. So I left that alone. I do see a failed second entry short here. It's a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. Now I'm watching potentially also a new high here, first entry long, second entry long. So this second entry short technically hasn't failed yet. It's a confirmed second entry short, and it hasn't confirmed a second entry long yet. But I didn't really like how this looked. So I would have placed my order right here if I wanted it. I would have gotten filled here, and then, for sure this would have confirmed. And depending if I was going for 1 point, I might have gotten out. Definitely would have gotten out here. Prices move up, kind of keeps chopping. It kind of goes into the second ascending trend channel going up. I saw this as a spike and then a channel. Comes down, tests it, and it breaks through. There's no clean setup. Breaks down again. This is where I take my first entry. I saw a new high here, first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long. And if you restart the count, it'd be up here and it'd be first entry long. But the way I saw it was actually this is one leg down, first entry long going up, the second entry coming down long. So when I saw this candle, I was watching pretty carefully. It was kind of bottoming out right here. And at the time, I wasn't sure if this was the bottom or if this was the bottom. When I saw this double bottom, I kind of felt that it might have been the bottom here, and these are just little overshoots with corresponding overshoots at the top. I kind of like what I saw here, so I thought it made two clean legs down. There's a strong move back up on this green bar that engulfs this entire red candle. So the bulls came rushing back in. There was enough room for the EMA, and then if this really was a trading range, then I thought this bounce would probably have enough oomph to maybe make it back to the top. So I made my entry right here, one tick above this original red candle. Technically, you could probably put it one tick above where this guy's high was, which right here, but I wanted to scoot it back a little bit to get a little bit less risk. Flashes down. My stop right now is below the double bottom. It goes down and then it goes up and gets my target. So I was able to get out of this trade. Prices continue moving up. And now it's clearly within this trading range, this orange one right here. And then this big yellow one doesn't really seem to be all that in effect. This blue line is actually the the low of yesterday's regular market hours, which is right here. I just kind of have it there just as a reference point to see if there's any kind of price action reaction. Prices continue moving up. It goes up, touches a fourth time, but I don't see a setup. Prices move down, comes up, touches a fifth time, but this time it breaks out, and I draw this ascending trend channel going up. I also see a potential one leg up, pull back a second leg up, so I'm wondering if it's going to come up and touch the tip or the top of this measured move. I also see a smaller leg, one leg up here, and a second leg up off these orange guys. Comes up and makes this measured move up here, and I'm wondering if it's still going to get to the top. Comes up, and it looks like it's not going to be able to have enough power to make it to the top. Comes up, and then this big candle flashes down. It gets really choppy here. I do want to point out there were two pieces of economic data, but by the time this was happening, those two pieces of economic data had already passed. It was the Flash Manufacturing and Flash Services PMI, which happened around 6:45 Pacific Standard, which is back here. And then 8 o'clock, there wasn't really anything happening. So this is just 8 to 9 o'clock. This is just regular market chop. Then prices continue moving down. I try to fit a curve, but it didn't look very clean. It had an overshoot, and I'm thinking it might come back and test the extreme. And it does. I do see a second entry short here. I saw this as a new low, first entry short, and then I saw this potentially setting up for a second entry short. It comes up, almost touches the EMA, and then flashes down. So when I saw this, I actually thought, okay, this is actually might be a trade, except I'm not too crazy about this signal bar. If this signal bar had only touched the EMA like this one did, and also closed bearish, then I think it would have been a perfect setup. Unfortunately, this is like almost a perfect setup, but not good enough for me to feel comfortable taking this trade. Even though there's enough room down to the bottom of where this trading range was and also to this lows, after this close, I felt the trade, unless I put my entry up here, it might have already been made. And if I put it up here, there's no guarantee I would have gotten filled. Then prices continue chopping down. It falls into this shortened trend channel. And right now it's kind of obeying it. It breaks out, and I'm thinking it might come back and test the low, which it did right here. Continues down. So this is just an overshoot, came back down. Overall, this is what the entire market looks like. So it looked like it made one big leg down, consolidated, and I'm thinking there might be a measured move here. So I drew this as one leg, a consolidation. I'm wondering if it's going to come all the way down to the bottom of this leg. So I don't know this at the time in real time, so I'm just thinking that might happen. Then prices continue chopping up. It comes up, touches the EMA. Technically, there is a second entry short here, a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. But this second entry short, it did close below the EMA or just at the EMA, but I'm not too excited about it because it's kind of a doji bar. So it could be a reversal pushing up, or it could actually be pushing back down. But if it's pushing back down, it already made a recent low here. So the most you'd be asking for is a quick move from here down to about here, about 2 points. But nothing says that it couldn't just kind of break out a little bit more, because it already broke out of this shortened trend channel going down, made one push up, pull back. It could potentially make another push up. So if it's going to go up or down, I'm not sure. So I just decided to sit out and I didn't even mark the trade because it just didn't look clean enough. Prices break out, consolidates. Technically, you have another new high here, first entry long, second entry long, but this is just super congested. These are just side by side. This is the inside bar of this guy, and then this guy isn't quite an outside bar, but it does engulf these previous bars, so it's a little confusing, so I just left it alone. But it did break out of this shortened trend channel and it made a new high, and I'm thinking maybe it's going to push all the way up to touch, well, actually this trend channel doesn't exist yet. Goes up, and it does come here and touches. So I do draw this resistance up here, and I dropped in the bottom of the channel down here. But I don't trust this channel yet because it's only been confirmed. It hasn't been confirmed. It just has 2 lines to it, 2 points to make this line. So you can't really trust that it's a viable option for a key entry point. Prices move down. I do see a new high, first entry long. And if you're kind of counting around here as a visual, you could say this is a new low, first entry short, second entry short. And I guess you could say this is a lower high. But then this first leg up, pull back. The second leg up isn't that super clean because it kind of broke out and made another small little leg inside. So I just wasn't sure what I was seeing to take this as a lower high. But if you did, it would have worked out. Prices continue down. It stays within this really tight channel, breaks out, and I'm thinking it's going to come back and test this lows, break out. Maybe it's going to make another push up before it comes down. Comes down and actually touches and breaks down below here. So there's a lot of action going on here because I saw a new high here, first entry long, goes all the way down. It's technically a second entry long. The problem with the second entry long that I saw is it's a really huge bearish momentum coming down now. It's really strong. So if you take this trade, it's kind of counter trend. And I thought I wanted to see a confirmation higher low. So I do get a higher low here. Unfortunately, it ends very bearish because this low is higher than this one, but it closed really close to the bottom. So there's nothing that says it can't continue downwards. And even though I have this, I'm playing this potential channel. I only have it touched once, twice. You could make the argument it touched a third time here, but I'd group this as one touch since they're so close together. And even if you drew it slightly more aggressive, you could say this is a second touch, but I certainly wouldn't have counted as 1, 2, 3, or even 1, 2, 3, because I would only count it as 2 real touches. And then down here, it only touched twice as well. So you might have a viable channel, but from what I saw, as I couldn't really tell, so even though it was a higher low, had it closed more bullish, then I would have been more, I guess, optimistic that it might actually move up back at least to the EMA or the midline. And prices can move up. So then I'm seeing a new low here, first entry short, potential second entry short. Boom. Then I'm thinking, could this be a second entry short failure? Because if it ends here and it moves back up, there might be a trade here. So it comes down here. I do see a failed second entry short potentially setting up, and I do see a triple touch down here. So the next candle is going to dictate if this second entry short fails. It does, but when this second entry short technically fails on this candle, and there's a triple test, unless I was pretty sure to take it, because this is not that best signal bar, it's just kind of doji-ish, just a little in between, I would have put an entry here, but I would have to have known, because then this one bar would have picked me up. After this bar closed, it feels really risky to put my entry one tick above, because it feels like it could be in a small little trading range right here. So kind of seeing all these, I guess, various factors coming into play, because I could see a potential consolidation, congestion right here. I would be technically buying at the top, so I wasn't too comfortable. On top of that, EMA is coming down. I might hit it as a resistance. So had I actually put my entry one tick above this guy, I would have gotten filled. If I put it one tick above here, I would have gotten filled here, but I think it would have been a kind of a gamble. Would have chopped it around, and then for sure it would have worked out. But again, in this real time, just seeing this, you have no idea because it could continue moving down. And I don't have enough experience to have a good intuition that it's probably going to go up or down. So I left it alone. Prices continue moving up, chops her out, breaks out of this shortened trend channel, kind of moves around, consolidates here, breaks up again. And then I do see a second entry short because I see this all grouped together as the new low here. First entry short, second entry short. Now, this second entry short, when it formed, this wasn't a very good signal bar, so you'd have to be playing off the strength and belief of this descending channel is actually correct, because you would have to take it one tick below here, And then I don't know where I would have put my stop though, because I wouldn't have put it one tick above. You would have lost on this trade for sure. And then would you put it way up here? It just felt a little risky. So you'd have to kind of just be putting your stop out here in the ether. And that isn't a really good idea because you don't know if there's any resistance up here to help you out. So it would have just been a little bit risky, I think, to take this trade. But it is there. It is a possible, I guess, trade there because it is a, I guess, third confirmation of this descending trend channel. Turns out it would have worked. Breaks down through the EMA, falls into the shortened trend channel, which I don't see any clean entries. These are very, very tiny candles, which is indicating a very strong bearish sell-off. So unless you're able to get on, it's kind of hard to jump on at that point. Prices continue moving down. And so now prices continue moving up. It's going, I see a failed second entry short. It's a new low here, first entry short, second entry short, and then it fails right here. It closed right at the EMA. And unfortunately, I saw this, it closed above the EMA. It's a possible overshoot of this trend channel coming down, this big beige looking one. So it might move all the way back up, and it made one big leg up. So on this blue shortened trend channel, it made a break. And so you're expecting to test the new high. So there was a potential trade right here because it does test the new high. And also, it falls into this trend channel potentially because I kind of saw and drew up this. There's an overlapping situation here. Comes up, it breaks out, and then chops around. I don't like kind of this because I do see a potential second entry short. I don't know if I marked that correctly. Let's see. So the new low here, first entry short, potential second entry short, yes. Closed right at the EMA though, and EMA is kind of flat. So it's a little bit in the middle of where the midline is. So you'll be expecting it to either go down or up. But since I'm not 100% sure, I would have left it alone. But it would have, because you do have enough room from here down to here, but you're also just in the middle of nowhere. So it could have made one push up, pull back, a second push up. And since there's conflicting factors, I just left it alone. Prices continue moving up. This falls into this trading range, chops around. It just looks kind of messy. Keeps chopping, comes out, breaks out below, comes back up. I do see a failed second entry short here. New low here, breaks out. Made a first entry short, second entry short, and failure. But this failure didn't feel very strong when this doji formed. And it's pretty close to the top of this trading range. So I felt when I saw this, I confirmed the failure. Now I want another candle because this is just too doji-ish. When this second candle forms, how do you deal with this? Would you put your entry above here or would you put your entry above here? But if you put it above this candle where the high is, you're already pushing against this top of the trading range, which is proven to be a resistance. So, and then putting it down here feels like it's kind of chasing because this trade looks like it would have already been made. And if you did put it here, I don't know if I would have gotten filled. And then it looks like it would have worked if he had gone long. Again, I didn't know it at the time, so I just had to leave it alone. And prices continue chopping, and it kind of just chops, moves back into the trading range, all the way into the close. So I try not to trade when it's too close to the end, even though you could say there's a new high, first entry long, second entry long, right here technically, but you can see there's one leg down, pull up, a second leg down, but then there's another pull up and a third leg down. So here it just feels too anxious, too much, too close to the end of the day because this is all within a span of about 3 minutes. All these candles to try to get an entry trade, and then if you took a loss, after already getting one win for the day, it would have been just kind of a big bummer. So hopefully that was helpful.